My best friend slept with my fiancé the night before our wedding, and although I didn't react at the time, he woke up today with his life in pieces. I should have known something wasn't right when Kyan insisted on handling the hotel arrangements for the wedding reception, telling me, "You have enough on your plate, friend, let me do it," while showing me screenshots of the reservations on his phone. My best friend since college, always trying to help, always there. But now I realize everything I didn't see. I'm still processing what happened last night, but I need to write it down while it's fresh. Maybe it'll help someone else spot the signs I missed. Although honestly, I was so busy with work and wedding preparations that I didn't notice how much time Holly and Kyan were spending together, planning the perfect day. It all started when I couldn't find Holly at the after-rehearsal dinner party. She texted me saying she felt overwhelmed and needed fresh air. I thought it was just pre-wedding jitters, but it turned out something completely different was going on. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. Then I noticed Kyan was missing too. Someone said he probably went to get more ice, but his car wasn't in the parking lot, and something in my stomach twisted. I opened Instagram to message Holly and saw she'd accidentally posted a story, only for a second before deleting it, but long enough for me to see the room number in the background, different from ours. Room 847. Here's the thing, when you've been with someone for 3 years, you know their passcode. And Holly never changed hers. Her sister's birthday. I hadn't checked her phone in a long time because I trusted her, but it's funny how that works. I took the elevator and used the emergency key card Kyan had given me earlier. The hallway was silent except for my footsteps and the distant sound of an ice machine. The door beeped green, and they didn't even hear me come in. I didn't yell, I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, phone in hand, taking pictures like evidence. That's when Kyan noticed me. He didn't jump or try to cover himself. He just smiled. In fact, he smirked. "She was never yours to begin with," he said, reaching for his phone. "Want to see the messages? How long this has been going on? How she comes to me every time you're too busy with work." Holly was crying, clutching the sheets. "Daniel, please, I can explain," she said. "Save it," I replied, my voice steady. "Keep the ring. It's fake anyway." It wasn't, but seeing her face fall was worth the lie. Kyan laughed. "Always so controlled. That's why she needed more. Someone who really—" I cut him off. "You know what's funny, Kyan? You just lost your job, and you don't even know it." His smile faltered. "We work at the same company, different departments. I have copies of all those inappropriate emails you sent from your work account. Every time you took credit for someone else's work, every favor you called in." "You're bluffing," he said, but I could see the uncertainty in his face. I smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind of smile you give when you know exactly how someone's life is about to crumble. "Remember that project you led last quarter? The one you got a bonus for?" He paled. "I'd kept the receipts. All of them. I was waiting for the right moment." His face changed because he knew. His direct subordinate, who had recently changed departments. Yeah, she'd kept a detailed log of everything too. "I just sent some interesting screenshots to Odette," I said. "You know your fiancé? The one you're supposed to marry next month." Now Holly was looking at him, shocked. "You're engaged." I left them there arguing, walked out calm and collected, and called my parents on the way. "The wedding is off. I'll explain later. Trust me on this," I told them. Got in my car, drove to the 24-hour diner where I used to study in college, ordered coffee, opened my laptop, and started writing emails. HR was going to have an interesting morning. The wedding venue deposit is non-refundable, but that's fine. I'll consider it the price of finding out now instead of years down the line. Plus, watching Kyan's perfectly constructed life fall apart will be worth every penny. He thinks this is over, that I'm going to crumble, make a scene, beg for explanations. He doesn't know me at all. I don't do drama.
I do consequences.
This isn't a story about a broken heart. It's about karma. And I'm about to become karma's favorite assistant. Edit. As many are asking, yes, I have backups. Of everything. No, I'm not going to try to fix things with Holly. And for those saying I'm handling this too calmly, would you rather I be facing assault charges? Nah. Some people want revenge served hot. I prefer mine cold. Edit 2. I've gotten a lot of messages about the work situation. Don't worry, I've got it covered. Everything will be done by the book. Sometimes the best weapon is the company handbook. I'll update when there's more to share. Right now, I need to cancel some vendors and make some calls. The next few days should be interesting. Update 1. First, thanks to everyone for the support on my last post. It blew up more than I expected. For those asking, yes, I'm fine. No, I haven't had a breakdown. I've been busy. It's been 5 days since I caught my ex-fiancée, Holly, and my best friend, Kyan, together, and a lot has happened since then. So I think it's time for an update. Remember how I mentioned I had evidence of Kyan's inappropriate behavior at work? Well, Monday morning was interesting. I arrived at the office early, like 6 a.m. I had a meeting scheduled with HR at 7. I came with receipts. All of them. But let me back up a bit. The morning after the hotel incident, I spent 4 hours canceling wedding arrangements. Pro tip. When vendors hear the bride slept with the best man, they become surprisingly flexible with refund policies. Most gave me at least 60% back. The ones that didn't? Well, their Yelp pages are about to get some pretty interesting reviews from the wedding guests who actually experienced their services. Holly has been blowing up my phone. First with apologies, then with accusations like, "You never had time for me." Then more apologies. I haven't blocked her. I'm just letting the messages pile up. They might be useful later. The funny thing is, she's been using her work email to send some of these messages. You know, that email system that explicitly states all communications can be monitored? The same system where she's been planning rendezvous with Kyan for months. Very smart. Kyan, though? He's been surprisingly quiet. Probably because Odette, his fiancée, isn't taking his calls. Turns out she already had suspicions, and my evidence was the final push she needed. She contacted me through Facebook asking for details. We met for coffee yesterday. He always had excuses to stay late at work, she said, stirring her latte. Always on project deadlines. Funny how a lot of those projects were actually him taking credit for other people's work. That's when she showed me her phone with screenshots of conversations between Kyan and 3 more women, all from the last year, all following the same pattern. All while he was engaged to her. The ironic thing, and what makes me the angriest, she added, is that he made me feel crazy for suspecting. Called her paranoid, just last month when she'd asked him about Holly. I wasn't planning on involving Odette in what comes next. But she offered. I want to help, she said. He needs to learn that his actions have consequences. Speaking of consequences, remember Els, Kyan's former teammate who kept records? Yeah, she'd been compiling evidence of his creative approach to project management for months. Emails where he took credit for her work. Messages where he pressured junior team members to cover for his absences. Recordings of meetings where he presented others' ideas as his own. The HR meeting went exactly as planned. They're launching a formal investigation. Kyan got called in Tuesday afternoon. He tried to play it cool until they started showing him the evidence. That smirk disappeared real fast. But here's the best part. Holly doesn't know about Odette yet. Or the other women. She thinks she's special. That Kyan will leave everything for her. The group chat with Odette and Els has been very enlightening. Want to know the best part of all this? I'm sleeping well, going to work, doing my job. Meanwhile, Kyan's sweating in meetings, watching his career slowly crumble. Holly's getting increasingly desperate texts from him, which she forwards to me, asking what's going on. I just reply with one phrase that drives her insane. Some of you might think this is cold. Maybe it is. But you know what's colder? Planning to sleep with your best friend's fiancé, and then acting like you did him a favor. I have more plans, but I need to be careful what I share here. Let's just say next week's department meeting should be interesting. Kyan is scheduled to give a presentation on a project. Too bad someone found evidence that he took most of it from a competitor's public repository. Edit. To the people messaging me about taking the high road. This is the high road. The low road would involve actions I can't mention without violating Reddit's TIS. Edit 2. Yes, I backed everything up. Multiple copies, multiple locations. I'm not an amateur. P.S. Holly, since I know you found my Reddit account, hi. How's that conversation with HR about inappropriate use of company email going? Might want to check your work inbox. Just saying. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last update. A lot of you have been messaging me asking for updates. Well, grab your popcorn because Karma just cashed every check Kyan ever signed. Remember that department meeting I told you about? The one where he was supposed to present his groundbreaking project? Never happened. 3 hours before the meeting, Odette walked into the office. Little backstory. Odette works in marketing for one of our client companies. Turns out she has access to their internal communication systems, including emails. From 6 months ago, where Kyan tried to hit on her coworker while claiming he was single. The same coworker who then rejected him and mysteriously got removed from key projects when Kyan restructured the team assignments. Dear Odette didn't just bring screenshots. She brought witnesses. 3 former team members who'd quit because of Kyan's management style. They'd been waiting for a chance to speak up. The meeting turned into something else entirely. Instead of Kyan presenting stolen work, HR called him in for an emergency review. 4 hours later, he was escorted out by security, carrying his sad box of desk plants and protein shakes. But that's not even the best part. Holly, my dear ex-fiancée, decided this was the perfect time to try and win me back. Showed up at my house Tuesday night, crying about how she made a horrible mistake and how Kyan manipulated her. It would have been more convincing if she hadn't sent a WhatsApp message to Kyan 2 hours earlier. Yes, I still have access to her backup email where all the notifications go, asking him when they could see each other. I let her talk for 5 minutes. Then I played the audio recording from my security doorbell. The one from last week where she was laughing with Kyan about how they could finally be together openly once he got his promotion. He's getting fired, Holly. Right now. Check your phone. The color drained from her face as she opened Twitter. And what she saw made her freeze. Someone had just posted a long thread about workplace harassment and toxic leadership. Naming names. It was going viral in our industry circles. Holly started panic texting Kyan, but there was no reply. Called him and it went straight to voicemail. That's when her own phone vibrated. An email from HR. About inappropriate work communications. And a meeting scheduled for the next morning. What did you do? She whispered. Nothing. You did it yourself. Every email, every message, every quickie in the conference room. It's all there. In the company records. Maybe next time use Signal instead of work email to plan your hookups. She left with the look of someone who'd just seen a ghost. Absolutely terrified. An hour later, her Instagram story showed her drinking wine and posting vague quotes about toxic men and betrayals. The comments were not sympathetic. Kyan isn't doing much better. His LinkedIn now lists him as seeking opportunities. His engagement is officially off. Odette made sure everyone knew why. His apartment complex gave him 30 days to move out because guess who confirmed his lease? His now ex-fiancée. The friend group has basically excommunicated him. Turns out I wasn't the only one he betrayed, just the latest. 3 other guys came forward with stories about him hitting on their girlfriends, sabotaging their work, borrowing money he never returned. Classic narcissist playbook. Holly is facing her own fallout. That HR meeting didn't go well. She's on administrative leave while they review her case. Her sister, my almost sister-in-law, texted me saying Holly had to move back home because she can't afford her apartment on her own. Karmic justice hits different when it affects your wallet. The best part of all this? I barely had to do anything. Just gave a little nudge, and their house of cards collapsed on its own. All those lies, manipulations, and betrayals? They did most of the work. Kyan's last text to me was particularly interesting. You ruined my life. I replied with a screenshot of his own words from that night. She was never yours to begin with. Guess what, buddy? Now she's not yours either. Funny how that works. Edit. For those asking, yes, I am okay. In fact, I met someone new. We're taking things slow, but Ren, that's her name, is different. She's genuine. No games, no drama. Just real conversations and honest intentions. Edit 2. Holly, I know you're still reading this. The answer is still no. And you might want to check your credit score. Joint credit cards get messy during breakups. The last update will come when everything fully settles, but for now life is good. Very good. Remember folks, don't get mad. Get strategic. And always keep receipts. Final update. This will be my last update about the whole best friend/fiancé betrayal saga. I wasn't planning on writing it, But something happened last night that perfectly capped off this whole mess. I was having dinner with Ren at this new burger place downtown. Yes, we're officially a couple now for months later. She's amazing, but that's not the point of this story. Guess who was working behind the counter? Kyan. In a paper hat. Life comes at you fast. At first he pretended not to see me, but Ren wanted to modify her order. She didn't know who he was. I hadn't shown her pictures. The look on his face when I walked up to the counter, priceless. Can I talk to you? He muttered, trying to look dignified in his grease-stained uniform. Just 5 minutes. I checked with Ren and she was fine with it. Followed him to the side of the building during his smoke break, which, full disclosure, changed the whole situation. That's when 4 months of pent-up rage poured out of him. He started yelling about how I ruined his life, how he was living in his mom's basement, how no one in our industry would hire him. Called me every name in the book. I just stood there letting him rant. Finally, he ran out of steam. Feel better? I asked. Because I have a few updates you might be interested in. I pulled out my phone and showed him Holly's latest Instagram post. The one where she announced she was back in her hometown, working at her dad's hardware store. Her caption was a bunch of nonsense about rebuilding herself and finding her path. Your soulmate's really living her best life, huh? I said. By the way, she told everyone you pressured her into it. That it was all your idea. Even told your mom that. Apparently, loyalty isn't her strong suit. He tried to grab my phone. Very bad idea. Really bad idea. Remember Odette? She's dating one of the security guys from our old office now. A big dude named Maurice. Turns out he was having dinner inside with her. Funny how that worked out. Maurice came out just as he was lunging for me. One look was enough for Kyan to back down. But here's the real karma kicker. While all this was happening outside, guess who walked into the restaurant? Apparently, Holly had started coming there specifically hoping to run into Kyan. Spotted Ren sitting alone at our table and recognized her from my Instagram. According to Ren, Holly walked over and started talking nonstop about how I was a manipulative expletive who had orchestrated everything, all to destroy her and Kyan's true great love story. Ren just laughed and started recording Holly. Holly did not like that. Tried to grab Ren's phone. That's when the manager got involved. Remember how I mentioned Els, Kyan's former teammate? Whose cousin owns the place. Small world. When I got back inside, Holly was already being informed she was never allowed back. And Kyan was being informed this would be his last week. Seems he'd been sneaking Holly in during his shifts. And Ren was calmly finishing her fries. Your ex is entertaining, Ren said. She tried to warn me about you. I showed her our vacation pictures from last month. The ones we took while hiking with my kids. She went completely silent after that. Like she couldn't even. Oh yeah, Ren's a single mom. 2 awesome kids who love video games and pizza rolls. We play Minecraft together on weekends. Real life always beats the drama. That night, I got a string of drunk texts from Holly, saying something about how she gave up everything for Kyan and how I betrayed their love. Apparently, she expected him to land another corporate job quickly, but soon realized he'd been working fast food for 3 months and hiding it from her. Which was the final straw. This morning Kyan's mom messaged me. Unlike her son, she's actually decent. Said she was so sorry for everything, that Kyan had lied to everyone, saying he was between consulting gigs. She found out the truth when she saw him in his uniform in someone's TikTok. Best of all, my company just promoted me to lead my own team. My first project? Cleaning up the mess Kyan left behind. The code he borrowed is being completely rewritten. Els, who is now my senior team member, is in charge of that. Edit. As many are asking, yes, Ren knows the whole story. I showed her all my previous posts on our 3rd date. Her response. Well, you know how to stand up for yourself. My ex? Not so much.